Hey, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. What's up, you guys? Great morning, great morning, great morning. So good to see you guys this morning. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to come in. I apologize for starting a little late. Something is going on with my Wi-Fi, and I do not know what it is. I can't figure it out. But I wanted to make sure that I went on and got started. Come on in, share the broadcast, share the broadcast. Make sure you share the broadcast. I got to see if I can get it to work for me, y'all. It just don't want to let me be great, but I refuse to be stopped. See, that's what happens when things come in your life to try to prevent you from your greatness, but you refuse to be stopped. Listen, I'm trying to tell y'all, this thing is so real. What's going on right now, what God is doing, how God is moving, all of that is very much a result of um, His will being manifested in the earth. And listen, to be honest with you, it is a result of these divine connections that we're going to talk about today. Today, we are in day 4 of Forward Focus 21 days to set focus and propel you into destiny. And day 4 is all about, hey, Stacy, day 4 is all about divine connections. It's all about divine connections. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can um, get this going on the other device and so that I can share it with more people. You guys, make sure you pray. Make sure you pray. Please pray, but also make sure you share this broadcast. Share the broadcast. Share the broadcast. Let the people know that there is yet hope. There's hope. Oh my God, y'all! I've got bags under my eyes. I didn't really sleep well. Oh my goodness, I was just up. Y'all, listen. It doesn't make any sense how I was up. It does not make any sense, but I was. Good morning. Good morning. If you're joining us from a group, make sure that you put your name in. If you have not given StreamYard permission to share your name, make sure you put your name in the comments because otherwise I won't be able to see it. Hey, Regina, I know you said that. You said that your Wi-Fi had been acting up. Listen, let me tell y'all something. When you're at the point where you're getting ready to go into major breakthrough, all kinds of stuff starts going crazy and haywire. And you're like, what in the world is going on? I don't know, but this is what I do know. I know that nothing was going to stop me from doing this today. Nothing was going to stop me from giving this word. Nothing was going to stop me. So therefore, I do what I do. I make it work. And that's what you do. When you learn how to make things work, you just make it work without all the extra. You just do what you got to do and you make it happen. That's what it's about. And so that's what today is. So I'm not going to be able to share my screen as much as I normally would. Y'all, listen, I just got up. I got to have my vitamin, my Valet 30. I got to get it in because I'm going to need it for this word because this word is going to hurt some people's feelings. Okay. Okay. All right. I hate when I have to do that, but it happens. So got to do it. I'm a 2-shot kind of girl with this. Oh my God. Okay. That just gave me my whole life. Okay. All right, you guys. So today we're talking about people. Now, day 1, we talked about purge. There were things that we had to purge, maybe people that we had to purge, situations we had to purge. Like all of that, we talked about purge. We talked about getting out of our system the things that were not moving us towards our purpose and our destiny. Day 2 was about purge, then purpose. Day 2 was about purpose, walking in purpose, operating in purpose, being in purpose. Day 2 was about purpose. Day 3 was about place. Where are you? Like, where are you? Are you in your promised land? Are you going to go into your promised land? Are you too scared to go into your promised land and you can ready to run the other direction? Day 4 is about people. Day 4 is about people, and specifically, it's about divine connections. No, it's not acting right. It's about divine connection. So let's talk for a minute. So the scripture that we're going to come from, and again, I can't, let me see. I can't share it, but the scripture that we're coming from is 1 Samuel chapter 18, starting with verses 1 through 4. 1 Samuel chapter 18, starting with verses 1 through 4. So, and the word reads, and I'm reading from the New Living Translation. After David had finished talking with Saul, he met Jonathan, the king's son. There was an immediate bond between them, for Jonathan loved David. From that day on, Saul kept David with him and wouldn't let him return home. And Jonathan made a solemn pact with David because he loved him as he loved himself, which is how God tells us that we're supposed to love one another. Love your neighbor as yourself, right? Jonathan sealed the pact by taking off his robe and giving it to David, together with his tunic, sword, bow, and belt. Now that was serious, right? So when you gave someone your tunic, sword, bow, and belt, like that's like saying, listen, we are blood brothers. You know, we're in this for life. We're in this together. See, there are people who would say that David and Jonathan were gay, right? And that's what was going on. That wasn't what it was. It was that they had a divine connection, a connection that was unexplainable. Like it was an immediate connection. Have you ever met someone and like you immediately like just connected with them? You're like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like you felt immediately like there was a purpose for them being in your life, that you were connected, right? And that's what happened with David and Jonathan. Jonathan recognized that, and it actually saved David's life. That relationship saved David's life. And when you understand that the divine connections are connections and relationships that are sent to help push you into your destiny, to protect you, to move you forward. So you have to understand that those divine connections, you have to protect, you have to guard them, you have to keep them. And sometimes what we'll do is we'll mess up and we'll miss the divine connection. We won't protect the divine connection just to maintain a connection with someone that looks like they're supposed to be our connection. Let me say that again. We'll mess up and lose a divine connection because, we want to just maintain a connection with someone who looks like, they look like someone that you need to be connected to. They have the outward appearance, right? They have the stuff that looks like you should be connected. They have the connections that look like you should be connected. But everything that looks good is not good, right? And so you've got to understand this. Now, listen, let me read the devotion. Let me read the devotion. And if you guys are in the group, the devotion is posted there, so you'll be able to read it. If you're not in the Forward Focus 21 group, you want to join the group so that you can get all of the devotion, because it's fire. It's straight fire. So let me tell you what the devotion says. David found himself in a position where his willingness to face Goliath gave him favor with the king. King Saul wanted to know more about this young man who was willing to put his life on the line for the sake of representing their God. It was after their conversation that David met Saul's son, Jonathan, and they immediately connected. The word says that Jonathan loved David. It was a selfless love. That love was demonstrated by Jonathan giving his robe, tunic, sword, bow, and belt all to David as a symbol of their bond. You see, it is not enough to say that you love someone. Anyone can say the words, but it is in the action that love is demonstrated. This connection between Jonathan and David was one that was not haphazard. Instead, it was divine. Hold up 1 minute. Listen to me, y'all. I want y'all to catch this, okay? I want y'all to catch this. You see, it is not enough to say that you love someone. Anyone can say the words, but it is in action that love is demonstrated. Y'all listen. I would much rather have someone who would be consistent in their saying they love me and providing actions that point to love, right? Than someone who's always talking about how much they love me, but nothing ever but when you need them, where are they? Huh? When you need them, where are they? Love is an action word. Love is not just something that you say, it is something that you do. It is a way that you show up. It is a way that you can be. Be love. See, I made a determination that I will be love. What does that look like? It means that I love people even when I don't necessarily like them, and I operate from a place of love. I consciously and actively choose to operate from a place of love. But the love that David and Jonathan had one for another, that was a special kind of love. It is truly, that's right, that agape love, that unconditional love. It's not that I love you because you did this, or I love you if you do this. It's that I love you, right? And because I love you, I'm going to do this. See, this is where I think we miss it with submission. See, submission is not something that is forced. It's not something that someone can be mandated to do, right? But when someone really loves you, that agape love, and they submit to you, they're submitting to you willingly. There's no one twisting their arm. They're not doing it because someone said they had to. They're doing it because they want to. They love you so much they desire to submit themselves to you. And that happens whether we're talking in romantic relationships like marriages, whether we're talking about in business, employee, employer relation. Like, listen, you got to make some conscious decisions sometimes to do some things. And so in the midst of that, Jonathan and David established a divine connection. It was not a distraction. It wasn't a distraction. See, some relationships are not divine relationships or divine connections, they're distractions. So you need to examine your relationships with people and determine, is this a divine connection or a distraction? A distraction comes to take you away from your purpose and your destiny, and a divine connection comes to push you towards and into your destiny. That's the difference. The direction that they push you. The direction that they push you. Remember this: if you meet someone and your interactions with them push you towards your destiny, that very likely can be a divine connection. If you meet someone and all they do is take you away from your destiny, that is a distraction. Stop calling distractions divine connections. Now, listen, I've been guilty of it like anyone. It looks like a divine connection starting out in the gate. It looks like a divine connection. But the further you go in, you discover, wait a minute. Now, this is not pushing me into my destiny. In fact, it's sending me the other direction. It's taking me off task. It's taking me off purpose. Maybe this isn't a divine connection. You're correct. It was a distraction. Distractions come to keep us from being in position to do what it is that God needs us to do. I don't have time. If I identify it as a distraction, it's cut. Did y'all hear what I said? If I identify it as a distraction, it's cut. Yes, Lakita. Divine connections versus distraction. Push towards versus pushes away. Absolutely. You all, and you've got to learn to do it quicker. See, this is what we do because we want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. We want to give everybody a chance. We want to let everybody, we don't want to seem harsh. We don't want to seem mean. We don't want to seem like someone who doesn't care about people's feelings. But listen, let me tell you something. You're either going to care more about your destiny and God's plan for your life, or you're going to care more about people's feelings. Now, I try to do it where I can care about people's feelings and get to my destiny at the same time. But sometimes, I'm just going to tell the truth. Sometimes you can't do it. Sometimes it's very difficult to do that. Sometimes you got to say some things to people that they don't like, and it may vilify you. What does that mean, Dr. V? Vilify. Make you look like a villain, like the bad guy, like you're the bad person, like you mistreated them or you used them. Listen, let me tell you something. When you're trying to get to your destiny, you don't have time to be stuck defending yourself to people who really, and I'm not, listen, I don't want y'all to think that I'm being mean. I'm being very real with you. Trying to defend yourself to people who are not going where you're going. They're just not going. I'm not saying they don't have value. I'm not saying that they don't have purpose. I'm not saying that they're not going to do great things. I'm simply saying they're not going where you're going. That's it. They're not going where you're going. They can't go with you. Doesn't mean they can't go. It just means they can't go with you. So listen, if we're spending all our time coddling people and babying people's emotions and stuff, then how can we focus on getting to where we're going? I'm not saying use people and step on people, but what I am saying is stop babying and coddling people and not getting to your destiny because you're trying to make everybody else feel okay about themselves. Listen, bump that. But this is a battle. Do you not understand that? You are fighting for your life. Your very life weighs in the balance. Your very life weighs in the balance. And whether or not you get to your destiny is determined by these connections. So why? Can you explain it to me? Why are you consumed with protecting the feelings of someone who's not getting you there? One of the things that I've experienced throughout my life is I've experienced this thing where I always have to make very difficult decisions. Like God will allow me to be in places and in positions where I have to choose. That's right, Regina, whether I'm going to obey God or man. Always, 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 always. That I encounter that. Am I going to obey God or man? Now, listen, you can respect authority, you can submit to authority, but when God says something, who are you going to listen to? That's right, Regina. Your obedience is first to the Father, first and foremost, right? But when you make your obedience about people, this is why, as a leader, one of the things that I learned to do, come on, Lakita, put your mask on first, then you can help somebody else. Absolutely. So, one of the things that I had to learn to do as a leader was give people permission to leave in the beginning. I give people permission to leave in the beginning. In the very beginning, I would tell people who would connect to my ministry, who would partner with me at the school or whatever, when this situation no longer serves you, when it no longer serves you, it's no longer working for your good, please exit. You have my permission to leave. Because what I never want to do is have someone in a place that they're not supposed to be because, they feel obligated to be there. No. When you no longer feel like you're supposed to be here, do what you need to do for you. You have my permission, not that you need my permission, but I'm telling you that you have it. Because a lot of times leaders will not release you correctly. They won't release you correctly. What is a correct release? Well, I'm going to tell you. Now, somebody might say, there's no such thing as a correct release. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. So listen, as a leader, if someone leaves you and they come to you and they tell you that they're leaving and they tell you why they're leaving and they've served you well, you are to send them off with a blessing. If you fail to send them off with a blessing, then that's going to bring stuff back on you. You're going to experience blowback. Because when someone has served you well and they've done everything that they were supposed to do, and when God says it's time for them to leave, you are supposed to release them with a blessing so that they can move forward. They're going to be able to move forward regardless because they did things in the appropriate order. But if you don't do things appropriately, then you're going to experience blowback. Blowback. Hear me? You're going to experience blowback. Why? Because you didn't handle one of God's children correctly. That's that blowback. And there are a lot of people who are currently experiencing blowback because they didn't release people right, or they didn't release them, or they dragged their name through the mud. You can't do that to people. One of the things that I learned was that if people consider it not robbery to connect with me, to partner with me in any way, I, as a leader, have a responsibility to make sure that I protect them, that I protect them. And when it's time to release them, I freely release them like they freely came. Okay. So I'll give you an example. I can remember I had a couple who were serving in my ministry. They were absolutely amazing. They led praise and worship. They worked in the ministry team. They were absolutely amazing, absolutely incredible and amazing. Listen, I ordained them. Amazing. Okay. And I remember I started feeling like, oh, it's time for them to go. I didn't say anything. So I waited and I waited for them to say something to me. And so the husband said, Dr. V, I need to talk to you. I said, okay. He said, I feel like God is calling me to leave. Um, I said, he is. He was like, for real? Why do you say that? He already showed me. He was like, what? He's like, I didn't want to come to you. I said, listen, I've always told you guys, when it's time for you to leave, just come to me. Come to me. And listen, come to me in person. Don't send me no email. Don't send me no text message. Come to me in person. If you cannot go to someone in person and say something to them, it means I question the caliber of your relationship. And to be honest with you, I question your integrity. Now, understand, I'm not talking about if you're in an abusive relationship. No, you can't go to your abuser and say, hey, I'm leaving. No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if you are in relationship with someone, if you are in business, if you are, listen, like whatever it is, you need to be able to tell them. Tell them. And if you can't tell them face to face, and if you can't have face to face conversations with people, that's a problem. That's right. That's right, Elder Sharon. God is a God of order. God is a God of order. He is. I'm telling y'all, he is a God of order. And if you operate in his order, he will always bless you. He will bless your obedience. He will bless you honoring his order. He will bless you even if other people don't bless you. Even if you're not sent off with a blessing, God will bless you, right? And so when you understand that, then you begin to move differently. So if I leave a ministry, this is what I'm going to tell you. I promise you, I talk to the leadership. I promise you that. I sat down and had a conversation. I explained why I was leaving. Listen, I don't do that because what I know is as a pastor, I don't want nobody to do me like that. I don't. I remember one time somebody was leaving the ministry and they sent me an email. I said, what the what? And we were supposed to have a relationship beyond just a ministry, a relationship. I said, oh no, this is not how you do this. This is not how you do this. This ain't how you do this. I'm fine with you leaving. That's not the problem. But this is not how you do this. And a lot of people haven't been taught how to do it. A lot of people haven't been taught. So listen, after today, you can no longer say that you don't know. You don't know how to do this. Okay? You can't say that. Now you know. All right? Because what I want you to do is to understand that that may have been a divine connection for that season. And then it may be time for you to do something else. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to need that connection again. Doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be another time where you encountered one another and you want to be in a place where you've handled things right. You want to be in a place where you've handled things right. So understand that divine connections are relationships established with God intention. Divine connections are relationships established with God intention. They're used by God to get those people involved, to get those involved to their destiny. They're used by God to get those involved, both people, to their destiny. Often they require sacrifices from those involved, but they're necessary sacrifices. Listen, understand this. If you got a divine connection and it requires sacrifice, there's a reason. The last ministry I was at, I served, right? I served like I'd never served before in my life. And I served like that because God told me, you're serving your way to your next. He said, you're serving your way to your next. So I served the way that I would want to be served. I served with integrity. I served with purity of heart. I served with love. I served. And if someone said, oh my God, you serve so well, I said, listen, I need you to understand that this is not selfless. This is not selfless. I'm serving like this because God told me that I have to serve my way to my next, right? And so I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure I honor this connection, to make sure I make the sacrifices necessary within the connection in order to get both of us to our destiny, because that's what it's about. Everybody's not going to go all the way with you, right? Some people are going to go so far and then some people are going to go a little further. Look at the 12 disciples. The 12 disciples all walked with Jesus, but there were certain times where they would get to a place and Jesus would say, okay, y'all wait. And then he would take the three. If you look at it, the three were those who were closest to him. They were those who were closest to him. In fact, I would say they were his inner circle. They're his inner circle. So there's the inner circle. And then when you go into the Holy of Holies, you might have to go by yourself, or maybe only one person can go. At the end of his life, when he was getting ready to be crucified, there was one that stuck with him, John. Everybody else got dropped off where they got dropped off, right? But John stayed with him to the end. And you've got to get to the point where you have some relationships in your life where they're the people that you would be willing to go with them to the end, regardless if it costs you, right? Because you know that this is a God connection. You know that this relationship was established with God intention, and it's God intention that maintains it. If God intention establishes it, then it should be God intention carried all the way through, right? What is God's intention for this relationship? What is God's goal for this relationship? What is he trying to do in our lives? Not just yours or not just theirs, but our lives together. Terrence is a prime example of that. Terrence is that's my baby. That's my baby. He is. That's my baby. He a little spoiled. He is, but he spoiled me. So it's even, right? Really, it ain't. He spoiled me more than I spoiled him. But I got to be like mama, auntie, big mama with him. Okay. But Terrence and I met at a coffee house at 5508 when my school was on that campus. We met in 2017. When we met in 2017, we had no idea that here we are in 2021, that we would be connected the way we're connected. Like when I say I love Terrence, I love Terrence, like for real, for real. And he loves me. Like we always want the best for each other. We're going to look out for each other. It's what we do, right? It is a divine connection. A divine connection. Now, listen, Terrence isn't the only divine connection that I had at that spot, but there were some connections that began to divert. They began to go in different directions. And it's like, okay, this has served its purpose. And see, when you say that something has served its purpose, people immediately look at that like you using people. No, God has done what he intended to do in this relationship for this long to get both of you to where you are. And now it's time for the next dimension, right? It's time for what's next. And it may be that what's next can't happen if you're both too close to each other. There has to be this growing up. It's just like with birds. When birds have their baby birds in the nest, they feed them for so long. But then what they have to do is push them out the nest. Eagles push them out the nest up high. Now you got to think about where eagles' nests are up high. They push them out the nest. Get out. Because that's the only way they're going to learn to fly, right? So you can't take those divine disconnections. You can't take divine disconnections for granted. Looks like you can't take divine connections for granted. Absolutely, Regina. Like Abraham and Lot, they came to a place. Both of them had prospered so much that now there was getting ready to be there were some problems. And before things got ugly, let me say that again. Before things got ugly, God told Abraham, send Lot, tell Lot to pick his land. Tell him to pick his land because y'all can't exist in the same land, on the same land. Y'all can't exist on the same land. Tell him pick his. Let him pick his first. Go. You give him first rights. You give him first rights. Now, for many people, they would have said, like Abraham, if they were Abraham, oh no, I get to pick. Sacrifice. See, that sacrifice showed Lot that Abraham wanted his good, that this wasn't something being done to harm him or hurt him, right? It wasn't like Abraham was going to give him the short end of the stick. Abraham knew and understood that whatever God did for him, it was going to be great and it was going to be massive. So there was nothing that Lot could take or an area that he could choose that was going to prevent Abraham from being blessed, because Abraham was the blessing. You understand? See, you're looking at things sometimes in your life like people can hurt you. The reality is they can't. They can't hurt you. Not for real. Not for real. Because whatever they choose, if you give them first choice, whatever they choose, that's great. God is going to bless you even greater. So in your life today, as you're going through your day, I want you to examine your relationships. Who are the people that you are closest to? Who are the people that are currently in your life? What's going on in your life? And I need you to make some really serious decisions about those connections. I tell people all the time, everybody can't work with me. First of all, I don't want to work with everybody. That's the first thing, right? First, I got to choose to work with you. I got to choose to let you in my space. I got to choose to connect to you like that, right? Because I take those connections very seriously, right? Second of all, you got to understand what you're choosing. When you choose to connect with me, you will not be the same. It's going to first force you to change. You're going to have to look at yourself. You're going to have to grow. You're going to have to expand. You're going to have to get uncomfortable. That's what connecting to me is all about. Like, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. That's the bottom line. Anyone on here who's connected to me will tell you, yep, I had to get uncomfortable. And if you're going to get to destiny, then you're going to have to be willing to be uncomfortable. But I understand my role. I am a spiritual midwife. I help people birth their vision. I help get people to their destiny. That's what I do. As such, I'm not called to be your friend. I'm not called to be your friend. If I'm your friend, then it's going to be hard for me to be able to help you to get where you're going. Why is that, Dr. V? If I'm your friend, you're going to look at me like we right here. So when I give you instructions from on high, you're not going to receive them the same. You won't receive them the same. When I give people instructions from God, listen, what they do with it is on them. But what I've discovered is the people that feel like they're just, we're breast to breast, we're just equal like that, like there's no authority there, then they often dismiss what I say. So they don't get to benefit from it. So if I'm not as close to you as you would like for me to be, understand that there's a reason for that. If I get too common, if I get too familiar, then you won't respect me like you need to respect me. So that when the word comes forth, that you hear it like it's really coming from God. You'll be like, oh, that's just Dr. V. Oh, she's got her own agenda. Listen, I don't have time to be worried about other people like that, so that I'm trying to just manipulate and move people to my agenda. Listen, I consciously, actively work not to do that, consciously and actively. Am I always successful? Does self sometimes bleed in? Absolutely. I would be lying if I said it didn't. But what I will tell you is I'm consciously and actively always working to make sure that when I do things and when I say things, that it is not simply for my benefit. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for God coming for me like that. I don't have time for that. So divine connections are key. They're necessary for you to get to where you're going. And in fact, I'm going to say this: you cannot get to your destiny alone. I know some of y'all want to think you can, but you can't. You cannot get to your destiny alone. And Jackie said, when we first met, you told me so much about me, I was nervous. I do. Y'all, I make people nervous like that. But really, it's God showing them that I know them. I know who they are. That's just God talking. I'm sorry, I make y'all nervous, but I got to be obedient and say what the Father says. Kimberly said, I failed in this area, but I learned. So now I walk different in relationships. Yes. And particularly as women, we're often people pleasers. If you had situations when you were growing up where you tried to please your parents in order to get their approval, that tends to translate into people pleasing in your adult life. And you will find yourself engaged in that, whether you're male or female. If you are a people pleaser, listen, you are not a God pleaser, because you can't please people and God. Choose ye this day who you will serve. Okay. You got to choose. You got to choose. And so it's imperative that you understand what relationships are divine connections and what relationships are distractions. Once you identify that, and you identify divine disconnections, right? Divine disconnections are important as well. So you got to be able to identify that. So let that be what today is about. When you answer the questions in the journal, I want you to really be honest. Be honest with yourself. Be honest about where you are. Be honest about those connections. Be honest about it, right? Because it's only when you're honest that God can use that information to help you transition into your next and into your destiny. I'm destiny driven. My relationships are destiny driven. And I've learned that sometimes I don't have to understand the disconnection. I want to try to put a name on everything. I want to tell why things happen. Like, it's my natural inclination. It's the scientist in me. Like, it's the educator in me. I want that, but I can't always have that, because that's not always what God is trying to do. So sometimes he won't reveal it until later. Sometimes he won't let me know until later. And so you got to be able to be good with not knowing why there's a disconnection. You got to be willing to be good with not knowing why there's a divine connection with someone, right? Whether it is for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. Know that divine connections matter. It may be for a reason, it may be for a season, and it may be for a lifetime. We want to honor those lifetime relationships, and we always want those divine relationships to be that. But you need some relationships that are just for a reason, and you need some that are for a season. All of them are necessary as long as they are divine and they are relationships established with God intention, right? That's what divine connections are. Relationships established with God intention. Then you need them in your life for whatever it is, and you need to be able to move freely and flow freely through them. Okay. All right, you guys, listen. So let me give y'all the affirmation for today. This was a little longer than normal. Okay. But the affirmation for today is this. I'm going to say it, and then I want you guys to say it with me. Oh, Matt, can I type it? Let me see if I can type it. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can type it. Oh, let me. Y'all bear with me. Did this word bless you guys? Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one, y'all. Y'all need to declare this all day long. Mm. Yes, yes, Regina. All things work together for our good. Good, good. I'm glad it blessed you guys. So I posted it in the chat, and I'm going to put it on the screen so that you guys can see it. All right. The affirmation for today. I recognize and honor my divine connections, which are coming together to help me fulfill my purpose and my destiny. I recognize and honor my divine connections, which are coming together to help me fulfill my purpose and my destiny. One more time. I recognize and honor my divine connections, which are coming together to help me fulfill my purpose and my destiny. That's what God is doing in this season. He is working to help you to fulfill your purpose and your destiny. At the end of the day, you guys, this is what I'm going to tell you. God is trying to get you to a place where you are in position to receive what he has for you. Now, if you are not a part of the Facebook group, you can go to facebook.com groups/focus group 21 group, or you can just type forward focus 21 in the search bar on Facebook, and it'll pull up the page and the group. Like the page, join the group. Like the page, join the group. And if you're brave enough, and if you're willing to commit enough to go into the inner circle, join the inner circle. The inner circle is a place where we are literally meeting, and it takes it deeper. We're sharing our journals, we're supporting one another. And today is going to be our first live Zoom where we talk about what's happened so far in these first 4 days of the journey. That meeting is going to be tonight at 7 p.m. Tonight at 7 p.m. We're going to have that meeting. So you guys make sure that if you've not joined the group, that you join the group. If you've not liked the page, like the page. And if you're willing to take your transition, your transformation deeper, join the inner circle, because it's going down in the inner circle. Not only that, you guys, let me tell you this. If you feel like there is a divine connection with us, you feel like that God has brought me into your life for a reason, right? I want to extend to you the opportunity to go through a breakthrough strategy session with me. Now, this is what I'm going to tell you. You're going to get great value out of this. You're going to get great value out of it. You're going to walk away with some clarity on some things and some strategies that you can immediately implement. That is my free gift to you. That is my free gift to you. There's no charge to that. But know this, that if God calls us to work more intimately, that there is a price to pay, right? What did I say? I said that with divine connections, there is usually sacrifice that is made. Now, I can't work with everybody, but I can work with as many people as I can, right? That I choose. Y'all heard that, right? Translation. Everybody doesn't get an offer. Okay, just saying that. So if you don't get an offer to work with me, just know that it's not personal. It's that I'm not seeing the alignment. I'm not seeing the alignment. And what I'm not going to do in this season is align myself with people that God has not aligned me with. I'm just not. I'm not doing that. It's not worth it to me for my peace, my sanity and stuff to be jacked up behind it. So know that. Listen, you guys. As we are coming to a close, I want you to know that God has great plans for you, and he's going to strategically position those people who he has ordained to be a part of your journey, those relationships that'll be established with God intention to get both of you to your destiny. There's a reason that you're in each other's lives. Make sure that you take advantage of that, and make sure that you tap into that and you honor that and you appreciate that. As for me, you guys, you can join me today at 9 a.m. At 9 a.m. We having church, y'all. We having church. You know, God has called me to pastor again. This is going to be our second service. I haven't fully and officially launched, but I want you guys, if you feel a connection to me and you feel compelled to be there, be there. This ministry is going to be one that operates primarily through social media, internet, which means that you can be anywhere in the world and be a part of this ministry. We are designed and focused on helping to liberate the minds and of the masses and helping people to get to their freedom. Oh, wow. Good, Kimberly. Good, good. I'm glad. I'm glad. So to do that, go to getbalancedwithdrv.com, getbalancedwithdrv.com, get your free gift of your breakthrough strategy session. Those that are on here who have done a breakthrough strategy session with me will let you know what it is. Like, I don't have to, I'm telling you, folks will vouch for it. They vouch for it. If you're not a part of my group, Flow with Dr. V, join that group, search for it, join the group. Make sure you connect with me in all of my places, right? Connect with me in all of my places. I just know this. I know that I want you guys to experience all that God has for you. And I want that with every fiber of my being. But I can't want it more than you want it. It requires you to do some work. And if you will do the work, God will do the rest. I promise you that. Listen, you guys, I love you guys to life and life more abundant. You guys be absolutely blessed. Mwah.